Happy Monday, everybody. It is Dr. Mitzi Joy. I'm a board certified neurologist and multiple sclerosis specialist, as well as a singer and amateur musician. And I'm here live on Facebook to talk to you guys a little bit about topics that are very interesting to me and hopefully are interesting to you as well. I'm very glad I logged on tonight. I almost didn't log on. I've got a little bit of jet lag from my trip to San Francisco this past weekend. My husband and I had a great time just hanging out, and we went on a boat cruise, and so I've got just a little bit of jet lag, but that's okay. I'm really excited to be talking to you guys tonight about some things that are very important to me and hopefully are helpful to you. So I'm listening to a little bit of Brazilian music. For some reason, I've been in this Brazilian mood, so I've been listening to a lot of Sergio Mendes. This morning, if you were looking at my page, I was listening to some Phil Collins, so I've been kind of all over the place in terms of music. But tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit, hey Willis, I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my favorite topics, and that is the transformative power of music. So, you know, if you've been on my other broadcasts, I've been talking primarily about multiple sclerosis and topics with neurology. Last week, I talked a little bit about my journey to becoming a neurologist and about my love for music and my love for the brain and how I've always wanted to pair the two or bring those two things together. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit tonight and talk mostly about music. Hey, so if anybody knows me, they know that I have always had a love for music my whole life. My family is very musical. If you come to any of my family reunions on either side of my family, there will be a choir, and there will be a Soul Train line, and there will be a solo session. There will be American Idol or The Voice or whatever you'd like to call it, because all of us love to sing. So I always grew up around music. I always grew up listening to different kinds of music, loving music, and finally at the age of, I guess in the 6th grade, I realized that I could sing. And so then that started my career of singing and spending time in choirs and learning so much more about music. Hey, Auntie Weena. So anyway, so I want to talk a little bit about the transformative power of music, because I've just been thinking about it today. This morning I was listening to this Phil Collins song, and it literally transported me back to my childhood. Have you ever listened to a song and it literally immediately took you someplace? Like it took you to a party you were at, or a gathering you were at, or time you spent with friends, or made you remember people. And music can be attached to such powerful memories. So I was listening to that Phil Collins, and immediately transported me back to my childhood. And I remember a time, I actually remember when MTV was first invented. For some people that would say, oh my God, you're old. And for some people that say, oh my God, you're so young. But I remember when MTV was first invented. And when MTV came around, it was so integrative, right? When we used to watch MTV, we listened to all kinds of music. I remember my brother and I, my brother Billy, my big brother, we had two favorite 45s. Like if you remember 45s and 8 tracks, right? Ancient artifacts now. But we had two favorite 45s, right? We had El DeBarge's I Like It. We used to listen to it all the time. And Atomic Dog. So those were our two favorite 45s. But we would turn around and watch MTV and love just as much a song by Twisted Sister, right? Which was a rock band of guys with big hair. I think they were stockbrokers or something like that. And so I remember music being very integrated. And so we had a very broad range of different types of music that we listened to. And so I can literally listen to a song and it will transport me back to my living room in our house in Chicago, where Billy and I used to, play our 45s and dance around the living room. And so music has the power to evoke such powerful memories, which makes it so amazing. And so it has not only the power to evoke powerful memories and help you remember things, but it also has the power to speak to you right where you are. I can think of songs that I've listened to when I've been in very happy places in my life, or even in very difficult places in my life. And it was like that person wrote that song just for me. It was like I'm listening to those lyrics and it's like, oh my God, they know exactly what I'm going through. And one of the amazing things about it is that so many of those experiences with songs, with lyrics, remind us that we're not alone. And just like those lyrics spoke to you, there are a bunch of other people that those same lyrics spoke to. And so, people have the power through their experiences to speak to us in very specific ways. And so music can reach us right where we are, whether it is in a low place or in a high place. And I think the other really cool thing about music is music has the ability to transport us to the future. So if we think about where we want to be in life and, places that we want to go and things we want to do, oftentimes music will help transform us and help us to see things before we actually see them. And so I think about it in terms of music having the ability to pull us out of a mood that we're in, also put us in certain moods. So sometimes it can work the opposite way. I know that I don't listen to the blues a whole lot because sometimes it makes me really depressed, right? If you ever listen to the blues and somebody's like, I lost my dog got run over, and then my car got broke into, and then I fell down and hurt myself. And, by the time you get through listening to it, you're like, oh God, I need to take a nap. Like, this is terrible. I feel awful, right? Hey there, Erica. So, so sometimes you listen to music and it can put you in a horrible mood, but other times you listen to it when you're in a bad mood and it can bring you out of that mood and brighten your spirit and bring you up from where you are and transport you somewhere else. And so those are just a few of the wonderful things that I love about the power of music. It has the power to heal, it has the power to transform, and it has the power to speak to us individually and collectively. If you think about experiences like church, I grew up most of my life in church. A lot of times music has the power to transform an experience into something totally different just by adding that music to it. And music is not unique to our culture. There's music in every culture. Every culture has music. Every group of people have some form of music, some form of instruments. And so it's universal because it speaks and it's so powerful. And that's one of the things that I love about it most. And that's why I love to sing, and that's why I love to listen to music. And I love to see the joy on people's faces when they listen, and even the joy in my children's faces when I sing to them or when we listen to music together. So music is so powerful, and I think that we underestimate the power of it. And I think that it can do so much to help do things like decrease stress, help us deal with our emotions in a healthy way. And sometimes even writing music can help you deal with situations, deal with circumstances, to get things out so that they don't become detrimental to you. So that's my little interesting thing about music that I wanted to share today. And I wanted to share a little bit about my experience last week in San Francisco. I can't talk about everything directly from the meeting I went to, but before my husband and I hung out and did boat rides around the city, I actually went there to do some work. I do work a lot of the time. So I went there for a meeting, which was very interesting. So I went to a meeting that was talking about research. So my relationship with research has become closer in more recent times. I will say that I've not always been a person who's been very interested in research, but over the past few years, I really have begun to understand the importance of it for our culture and for medicine in particular. So I went to a meeting that was talking about inclusive research. So what does that mean? Basically, that means that research studies should include everybody. And we would think that that's something that's a no-brainer. But when you look at many of the research studies that are done across all disease states, right? So diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, MS, neurologic diseases. Oftentimes, the people who are involved in research are not very diverse. So most of the studies that we see have Europeans who are the primary people involved in studies. However, we know that the world is very diverse, and there are all kinds of people around the world who have these conditions, but they're often not a part of the research studies. So why is that important? It's important because there are sometimes differences that we can see in different populations and different people that help us understand things better. It's also important because in some disease states, research is the most cutting edge, advanced type of care that you can receive. And so we want everybody to have access to that. And so it's important, as I said, because what we're finding is that even though many people are affected by these conditions, when we look at our studies, people aren't in the studies. And there are a lot of different reasons for that, and I'm not going to go into detail about that tonight because I just kind of wanted to briefly touch on it. There are a lot of different reasons. Some of them may be because people don't know about studies that are available. Sometimes people are dealing with some mistrust of the medical system, which in many cases is founded. If we think about many of the recent things in our popular culture, we think about the book about Henrietta Lacks, which was an amazing book, but also very sad. And then we think about previous experiments like the Tuskegee experiment or other personal experiences that people have had or encountered with the medical system. But certainly, one of the primary issues is that oftentimes people aren't asked. And so there's a lot of issues surrounding that, whether it's because there's a presumption that people will say no, people of color or people of different nationalities or ethnic backgrounds will say no, or because of previous experiences with the people providing the care, or it could be access to areas where the research is being done. But regardless of all those reasons, I just wanted to kind of give a plug and say why it's important to be involved in research. And when I say research, there's all different kinds of research that you can be involved in, right? So there are not just clinical trials where people are giving medicines, because sometimes people have fears about being involved in trials with new medicines. There are different types of studies involving surveys. There are different types of focus groups. I remember I used to do market research all the time, especially as a kid, because I liked getting a little extra check. So I would go and test 20 different types of Coca-Cola, or sometimes they would have a study where I go try on 10 different pair of jeans and say what kind of jeans I like. And so there's all kind of ways to get involved in research, to offer your opinion, to stand up and be counted, to be a part of the process. And so my encouragement concerning clinical research is that we should all stand up and be counted, right? Because at the end of the day, when different, hi Dr. Natalie, when different advances come to pass, like for instance, there's a big push now toward personalized medicine. And so basically personalized medicine means that eventually there will be treatments that are specific for individuals. So, when you have a disease, whatever that disease may be, let's say some type of cancer, there will eventually be a way that people can look at your genetics and look at your makeup and essentially make a treatment specific for you. Hey, Dr. Natalie. And so what happens is that if everybody's not included, then all of that research will be targeted toward a certain group of people. And so it will be difficult then to apply that to other groups of people because nobody was involved in the research. And so my encouragement to everyone that I meet is, if there's a way that you can be involved, get involved. Ask your doctor about any studies that are going on. Ask about surveys. There are some websites that you can look at, the CDC, the NIH, and find out about things that are going on in your area. If there are places that specialize in a condition you have, for instance, such as multiple sclerosis, at our multiple sclerosis center, we have a research department, and there are lots of studies that are going on in our department. And sometimes there are studies going on in different parts of the city at other centers. And so there's always a way for all of us to get involved. And so I encourage everyone to get involved where you can and to make a difference and to stand up and be counted. And if the information is not provided to you, it's okay to ask. I have people that ask me all the time about things, many of which I do know about and can give them information about. Some things that are new, Sometimes you may present something to your doctor that they may not have heard of, but that's okay. The important thing is to try to get that information and to try to get involved where you can. Because if we're not counted, then unfortunately, we won't know how to generalize the information once all the research results are in. So that is just my plug for clinical research, to get involved and to find out what's going on in your area, and certainly encourage you to let others around you know about getting involved and how to get involved. And so that's pretty much all I have. I didn't have a lot to say tonight. You know, I talked a little bit about my love for music and its transformative power, and also talked a little bit about getting involved in research, because we need more diversity in research, and we need everyone to be included. So I hope that everyone has a wonderful evening. I have certainly had a great Monday, and it's always great to come on and talk to you guys. If you would follow me on Facebook, you can follow me on my fan page. If you're watching on my fan page. You can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter, Dr. Mitzi Joy MD. I'm also on Pinterest and Google Plus, Dr. Mitzi Joy MD. Come follow me. I'll be talking about music. I'll be talking about what I'm listening to, talking about lots of projects that I have coming up, and a lot of great work that I'm going to be doing involved in research, also involved with the MS community, especially African Americans with MS, as well as so many other projects that I have going on. So, hey, Auntie Janice. So I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you'll share my video and let others know. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful and amazing evening. All right. Bye-bye.